Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SoxProspects.com podcast, the web's number one source for information on the Boston Red Sox from top to bottom, from Fort Myers to Worcester, across the Pike to Fenway, and all stops in between. Thank you for listening. It is an emergency podcast. It is Wednesday, February 12th, a little before 11 p.m. My name's Chris Hatfield. That's Ian Kundle. Ian, let's jump right into it. Spread the word about the show, rate and review us, patreon.com/SoxProspects, email us at podcast@SoxProspects.com. Great. We are hopping on the emergency podcast machine to talk about the Red Sox signed, apparently, Alex Bregman, finally. 3 years, $120 million. That's all we know at this point. The floor is yours, sir. Where do you want to go? There's a bunch of different ways we can go. Alex Bregman, Boston Red Sox.
I think it's what the offseason needed. Coming in, there were obviously a lot of questions about ownership's commitment to the team and willingness to spend. And so far this offseason, they hadn't really done that. And in a weird way, they actually still haven't really committed any long-term money because there's a bunch of opt-outs in here. But in this situation, what they did do is they flexed financial muscle to go above and beyond every other team for AAV in order to secure him on their terms. And I think that they deserve credit for that. You know, there aren't a lot of teams that are going to be doing 40 million AAV, which I'm assuming it's going to get like there might be some deferrals. It'll end up being less. We'll see. We don't know the structure exactly yet. But for our intensive purposes, we'll call it, just a clean 340 a year. 3 years at 40 million a year.
With opt-outs after each year, right?
Correct. And that number in itself is impressive. Like that's not a number very many teams have gone. I think there's fewer than 10 players in baseball who are making 40 million AAV. So the fact that the Red Sox are willing to go there in order to secure someone who I kind of look at as, we talked about it all offseason. It's kind of been the elephant in the room. The piece they were missing was a big right-handed veteran bat. And in terms of fit, Alex Bregman was by far the best available, in my opinion. They have a couple ways they can go defensively, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second. He could play third, he could play second. But either way, it's a pull profile, fly ball approach that in Fenway should fit him really well. And the skills he has, he makes a ton of contact. He doesn't strike out. He puts the ball in play is just exactly what this team needs. You look at their lineup and with Bregman, it just makes so much more sense. You slot him in that 2-hole and you got a guy, 98th percentile in whiff rate last year, 94th in K rate, 82nd in chase. He doesn't chase. He's going to put together quality at bats and he's a good defender. And I think that all of that is just a very, very good fit for what the Red Sox need. And it's exciting. If you're the fan, seeing the reactions on Twitter and just talking to some people, Red Sox fans in my life.
Zach Kelly with exclamation points.
But Twitter. This is the first move that I think has really resonated with more of the public. Obviously, the Crochet trade was a big deal. But if you're not in the weeds in baseball, Garrett Crochet is not exactly a household name yet. He's going to be after this year, but Alex Bregman is a household name. That's a name that's going to resonate with people who are maybe on the fence about the Red Sox. And now I think it's, the American League is wide open. There's no reason the Red Sox can't be competitive for the American League with the team that they're going to be putting out there this season.
100%. And look, it's like you said, it's what they need to be doing, right? It's the kind of move the Boston Red Sox need to make.
That's the thing that needs to be emphasized. They got him on their terms. Like Chandler Rome John Heyman just tweeted that Bregman turned down $170 million plus for 6 years from somewhere else to go to Boston for $120-3. He clearly wanted to be in Boston. I think that's been evident the entire offseason.
He wanted to be in Boston and he wanted a longer term deal. But what I think 3 years does, 3 years with an opt-out after each year, he no longer has the franchise tag, not franchise tag, Jesus, qualifying offer attached to him. So he loses that. But I think it also gives him a chance to evaluate entering each offseason when he wants to get back in the pool.
Well, that's the thing is like for him, getting this high AAV means if he could stick around for all 3 years, go test the waters again, and all he needs to get is like 3 for 40 to equal out what he's missing out on there.
Yeah.
From 6 years.
100%.
So
This is no break. This is a much better. You always take this over
so
6-160.
or he just gets 40 million for 1 year, opts out, and maybe next season he takes 5, 120 or whatever. Like there's a lot of pathways for him to get his money, and having that security blanket of 40 a year is just such a great start.
And I think it's smart for him because the CBA ends in after 2026, right? So this carries him through the rest of this CBA into the next one potentially. And we've seen ownership doesn't want to spend shortly before there's a potential labor stoppage.
Yeah.
And they are quite happy to spend once you get past it.
Yeah.
And this potentially gets him past it. But if he sees the writing on the wall next offseason that someone needs a third baseman that is going to give him the 7-year, $200+ million deal he was looking for or something, or 6 years, $200+ million, then he can leave and take it.
Yeah.
So I think it works for him. It's less than ideal because he's on the wrong side of 30. And each year,
he's 30.
You're losing
he's
money.
30 right now.
He's 1994 birthday. I saw because
he's 30 right now.
So, yeah, he. Look, I like the signing. I think there are a lot of interest. The other thing that happened tonight, by the way, is Nick Pivetta finally signed. Nick Pivetta signed, what was it, $450 something?
It's a wild contract. It's a 4-year deal, $55 million, but
he
it's
only
only
gets $1 million this year.
It's like $3 million this year. It's $1 million base salary plus a $2 million signing bonus.
I thought it was okay. Yeah, I knew it was something. It's low single digits. Yeah.
And then it's basically a 2-year, $22 million deal with opt-outs after year 3 and 4, where the AAV jumps to like 18 or 16 and 18 or something. Mm-hmm. But it's a very strange deal. Good for Pivetta. I mean, if I would say him, I wouldn't have picked the Padres necessarily, having to face all those lefties with the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers and having to pitch in Coors.
Pitcher's Park.
Yeah, it's not very good for fly balls though.
We'll see.
So, but anyway, I think the important part to there, and which I'm guessing what you're getting at, is that with Pivetta, they got a compensation pick. So the Red Sox it's technically, I think it's the 76th pick because it's the 77th pick, but the Padres forfeit their second round pick, which pushes it up to 76. But whether it's 76, 77,
know roughly where it is. We'll figure out.
And it could end up being 75 now because the Red Sox are going to lose a pick for Bregman, but the Astros pick isn't until after the 4th round because they're in the luxury tax. So it's either going to be 75, 76, or 77. But the Red Sox got a pick back worth about $1 million and a little over $1 million bonus pool money. So they're going to lose their second round pick for signing Bregman. And I do wonder if that was something that played into the calculus from Craig Breslow's end, because we have heard that there were certain, there was kind of a split on going for Bregman. And if you're kind of in the front office camp that's looking at the value, the fact that now that pick is canceled out is a big boost into Bregman's value, in my opinion. Knowing now that you for sure are getting that pick from Pivetta, because obviously there was some uncertainty. Like Jeff Passan had a report, that Pivetta could wait until after the draft or after the July deadline. And
but with where the draft is now, so for him to basically get out from the QO penalty,
you have to wait like the beginning of July. No, it's not after the draft. It's like the beginning of July or something. There's like a date that it locks.
Is there a date?
Yeah, well, it's not all the way through the draft, but like
it's not as early as it used to be when the draft was in June. Put it that way.
But I think that having that certainty might have assuaged some of the fears that Craig Breslow, if he was the one who was a little skeptical about committing. But I think the biggest thing is the Red Sox clearly got him on their terms, and that was the only way that this was going to work. And I think, it's not fun seeing these negotiations kind of play out in public and seeing, the back and forth. But the Red Sox just waited it out, and they knew they were coming from a position of strength in the sense that he clearly wanted to be here.
Yeah.
And they eventually were able to get him at a number where I think both sides are going to end up being very happy with that number.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, look, it's a fit. It makes the team better, I think, without question this year. Does it make them better 3 years down the line? I think that's a fair question. I think there will be more to unpack here in terms of like, at what point are you blocking guys? I don't think that's a concern right now.
I don't think it's a concern at all, any of the next, because this isn't like a 6 or 7 year deal. It's a 3-year deal. and maybe not even 3. It could be
but you've
2.
got 3 guys that are there. They are in AAA. They are arguably ready now in terms of Anthony and Campbell. Like,
but I think that's the discussion point. Is I think there's ways that you can get one or both of them in the lineup still. Like,
sure, 100%.
and that's even without playing Bregman at third base. Which, if I had to pick one, it's tough because I don't like moving Devers off third base right now when he's got so long left on his contract. Mm-hmm. But if you're talking about the thing that I think makes the team as the best possible team for this season, it's probably playing Bregman at third, Devers at DH, Campbell at second.
Yep.
I don't know if they'll do that. I think they're going to put Bregman at second. And the pathway then to getting Campbell on the roster or Anthony is Rafael is going to have to take a super utility role eventually.
Yeah.
That's the pathway because, if you're playing Bregman every day at second, you got Devers at third. DH is going to be some combination of Yoshida. Maybe, you cycle Bregman in there, you cycle a few other guys in. And then in the outfield, you put Duran in center and you have Campbell in left, which is a position he's played in the past. So I kind of think I wonder if that's a route that they're going to explore. We're going to hear that we're going to be seeing more of Campbell in the outfield this spring.
Or Anthony. I mean, people forget about. I mean, we've talked about this, but like everyone's thinking Campbell because that second base spot was open. But
it's also because of the right-handedness. It's also
because of the right-handedness. That's fair too. But it's also like there's a world where Roman Anthony wins a spot on this team and Campbell doesn't. Like that is a world that exists. I'm going to try not to be saucy. It's kind of funny because I thought, based on everything I was reading, Ian, that the Red Sox were about to trade for Nolan Arenado, and there was a deal worked out. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to try and be nice. You don't look happy.
Just trust Paston and Alex Spear.
Exactly. Like, I mean, yeah. All right. Anything? Let's see. What else? Bregman. One other thing. This had nothing to do with teams being able to put 60 guys on the 60-day IL because camp started or because of pitchers and catchers reported. You don't hold off on signing Alex Bregman because you don't want a DFA like Bernardino or Sogard or something. And Craig Breslow has shown this offseason that he's plenty willing to like take a guy on the 40-man and move him for something of value.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of options about finding him.
This was not about being able to wait until Patrick Sandoval and Chris Murphy could go on the 60-day, although that's now probably the 40-man move, is that one of them goes on the 60-day.
I would guess. I would agree, yeah.
Yeah. So that's your 40-man move right there is one of those two to the 60-day IL, which is convenient and nice, but that's not why they waited until now. They waited him out. This is JD Martinez 2.0. You got to... so I guess now at this point, Ian, offseason is basically over unless, they get,
Yeah, I mean, the reliever maybe, but a
reliever.
I don't think any of the relievers are upgrades really unless it's David Robertson. So,
yeah, and it seems like that's unlikely. So,
yeah, I think the couple of other interesting things. So this is 100% going to put them over the luxury tax. So those concerns that the Red Sox would not spend of that have obviously. That's why we said you just got to wait till the end of the offseason. If they had not done this move, I feel like we had some takes that we were ready to fire off, but that we can now put in the holster because we're never going to know because they ended up doing what they needed to. And that's why it's just so hard to evaluate an offseason without seeing how it's going to end up. Because unlike, I feel like when we were growing up, baseball offseason kind of ended at Christmas. Like everything was done by Christmas. That's not the case anymore now. The baseball offseason is a full November until March, right up until opening day. That's when the offseason officially ends. So now you just got to be patient. And sometimes, good things happen to those who wait. And I think that's the situation here. Alex Bregman, Red Sox drafted him out of high school. They couldn't sign him. They offered him apparently, I think 7 figures but he wanted to go to LSU. Back in the 29th round out of in 2012 out of New Mexico. And now, things are coming full circle.
Because he was boys with Swihart, right? And they were scouting the two of them together.
Correct. And now we're 13 years later, everything's coming full circle and he is officially, or not officially, but he's going to be signing with the Red Sox. And I think the exciting part is I think that this is a move that is going to excite the fan base. And I think that's the the fans badly needed this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They needed to see that commitment, and they needed to see like this is a go move. This is the move you don't do when you're building up the farm system. You're waiting for your prospects to be ready. This is a finishing touch, like it's go time move. And I think it signals that the Red Sox are kind of in a new era of roster building officially. It's everything they've done up until this point. There was minimal risk, or it was younger players. Garrett Crochet, for example, he's 25 years old. Alex Bregman's a 30-year-old veteran who wants to win. That's the only reason he's coming here, is to win. And he wanted to come to Boston. So that should tell you about where MLB players view him. And Walker Buehler wanted to come to Boston. It shows where the Red Sox are viewed in their team building strategy. And I think, Craig Breslow deserves credit. Even Chaim Bloom deserves credit for building that base that Craig Breslow and co have built upon. And now it's go time. Now is the time where the Red Sox need to go out there and prove it on the field, basically. Alex Cora's got his guy. I'm sure he's arguably probably the happiest guy in the room. He's got his veteran leader.
Yeah.
They've got to, and this is I think obviously something that Lou Merloni and a few others have been talking about, is just the need for an adult voice in the room. Alex Bregman's that guy who now, can be a sounding board for Roman Anthony, for Christian Campbell, for Marcelo Meyer. He's someone who's been through the battles. He's won World Series. He knows how to be a professional. And now he's the guy who's going to be looked upon, I think, to be the leader. And that's just such an underrated aspect, because that's something the Red Sox have badly been lacking. Rafael Devers, for as good a player as he is, he doesn't want that role. And that's fine. No. He doesn't need to have that role. No. He shouldn't. If he plays, he needs to just go out there and do what he does, which is hit. And however he is most comfortable is how he should do it. And he's clearly shown he doesn't want to be that. Alex Bregman, that's who he is. He's the guy who's going to get in the microphone after a tough loss and talk about it. He's going to go up there and, be in the cages working with guys. It's something they really needed, because it's hard if you look at like Trevor Story is just this, I think he's a very good leader, but you can't count on his health. Mm-hmm. Rob Refsnyder, you can't be a part-time player and be elite.
It doesn't, you can't have that guy be your locker room leader. It just doesn't work.
And they just didn't have a lot of veterans. And now they got, one of the most respected guys in baseball. So I think that the value he's going to add in that and helping out the young guys, I just think can't be underrated either. Like, this is huge, I think, for the Campbell, Anthony Meyer group, having someone like him to work with. So I think it's just really everything. It's really exciting. Baseball is finally getting going, and the Red Sox are in a position where I don't see any reason they shouldn't be able to compete for the American League pennant this year.
It certainly makes them a lot more interesting too. Like you said, I mean, I've already had got a piece of my darling wife's mind about her thoughts about Alex Bregman, who was basically dead to her since the whole Astros scandal. It sent her on a 5-minute rant earlier, which was just terrific. I enjoyed it very thoroughly. Marry a baseball fan, folks. It's delightful.
I am really interested to see what they say about the positioning, though, because like you could make a strong argument for him at second or third. And I really think it's probably going to depend on the health of Yoshida, but also what is the outlook of Campbell / Anthony coming out of camp?
Yeah. I mean, what do they do with Yoshida at this point?
Yeah.
Like it, if Campbell and Anthony aren't showing they're ready early in the year / in camp, then okay, you're good for now.
Yeah. And even if one of them is, you can fit one of them in. Like, that's the problem becomes if both of them are knocking on the door. That's where it gets a little tricky, barring health.
Yeah. Cause I think we've talked about this. People sleep on Yoshida. Yoshida is a better hitter than some people are giving him credit for.
Oh, 100%.
The fact that he was clearly hurt for a lot of last year, and for some reason they were extremely tight-lipped about it. I'm curious how much that really factored in.
Yeah.
But if Campbell and Anthony are knocking on the door, Yoshida is the obvious guy to go to the bench, just because you're not going to stick Devers.
But then the tricky part is he's a terrible fit in a bench role.
Yeah. So what do? Do you just unload him and eat the money? Like, that's a lot of money to eat.
It's easier said than done, because teams don't want to tie up that's a DH spot.
In a DH
doesn't have any power.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, if teams want to be able to use their DH to rest guys, or
he's going to have to show that he can hit for some power before they can move him.
Yeah.
You can't move a guy who's going to hit.
He's going to have to show he's healthy too. Like you're not going to
260, 270 with a 330 on base and a like 420, 430 slug.
He's got to be an 800 OPS guy.
Yes. Yes.
And he's done that before. And that's the tricky part is that from opening day, assuming, let's say he's hypothetically healthy, their best lineup probably does include him. But within a month, that lineup might be obsolete if Roman Anthony is like, hey, I'm here. Like, what are you going to do about this? And that's where, I mean, they're going to make their money figuring that out, because you also have the Rafaela thing. You know, is Rafaela going to be okay being a utility player? He's going to have to be, because I don't see any way that he stays as an everyday player with the way this team is headed with the big three.
If everyone's healthy.
Assuming everyone's healthy.
Everyone is now.
Well, this is like Trevor Story gets hurt tomorrow. Probably right. Is like that. Well,
but the thing is Trevor Story getting hurt tomorrow doesn't actually fix any of this, because I think we're done with Rafaela at shortstop. I mean,
well, no, but it probably means. I mean, you probably put Campbell at short if that's the case, or you have like David Hamilton.
I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Campbell can play short, but I just think.
We'll see.
It's going to be interesting though how they frame it. Like, because obviously Alex Cora has talked about like Devers is our third baseman. Does Craig Breslow view it the same way? We don't know. I don't know if he's at. I would assume so. But when you look at it, you know, they're going to be running it by the numbers. And what do the numbers say? I'm very curious how they how Bregman envisioned his position when he talks about it at his press conference, because I do wonder if maybe it's, hey, you're going to play third, you're going to play second, and then we're going to figure it out as the season goes on where you're going to play more. I think that could be on the table.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm just checking social to see if anything has happened while we've been on this.
It's exciting though. I mean, it's the first move that's really resonated with, I think, the public at large.
Contract structure is 40-40-40.
Yeah.
He turned down 171 million because
that was
in Boston, like you said.
There are deferrals, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, of course there are.
Yeah. So that means the AAV might not be 40 million. It could be slightly less.
The AAV might not. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stats already jumping in with pushing Campbell to the pushing Rafael to the bench for Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
it's exciting.
Yeah. Baseball.
And I think, we should say that. So they are going to lose their second round pick. So that's pick 54. But they're basically trading 54 for like 76, 77. So they're going to lose a little over $1 million in pool money, but not the end of the world. Yeah. And I think just taking it back, the biggest thing is it being a clean 3 years at most is insane. Like, that's how you use your financial resources. You have a guy that, hey, maybe he's not a good fit in years 4, 5, and 6. Okay, overpay him for 3 years. Tell him, hey, here's, you're going to be one of the 10 highest paid players in all of baseball for 3 years. And that's what we want you as.
Mm-hmm.
It worked. I think that John Henry spent money. Craig Breslow waited him out, got it done. I think that the whole process, it seems like it's worked out well. So a ton of credit, because the Red Sox offseason, I think, going in everything, you can nitpick the bullpen, but other than that, Craig Breslow and co have gotten everything that I think everyone wanted coming into the offseason. They went out and got their ace. They went out and got their big right-handed power veteran bat. They've added some other really nice pieces along the way. So I think the Red Sox are in really good shape heading into the season, which is, I feel like the vibes and kind of just everything about it is changed from where it's been the last few years.
100%. I mean, this changes the complexion of camp completely.
Yeah,
completely. All right. Hey, by the way, last episode was our 350th episode. Congrats.
Cool.
We didn't even mention it.
Didn't even know.
Go us. Yeah. Or at least by the way we number it. And 350 was actually a few episodes ago, because we had a few that we counted.
Do you have any thoughts on Pivetta briefly?
No, good luck to him.
Yeah. I mean,
people thought that he was going to come back as a reliever or something. That's not happening. He was always going to sign with someone to start. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I'm just glad that's over too. Like, I didn't want to be having to wait for that.
Yeah. So. I'm just glad one or the other move happened.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Boston Red Sox roster more or less done. See y'all next week.
Position players are definitely done.
Position players are them. We'll see if they get a reliever. But
yeah,
let's get ready for the season. Love it. All right. He's Ian. I'm Chris. Follow us on socials. You know where they are. Thanks to our Patreon supporters. Thanks to the Love of Thieves for our intro and outro music. I guess we should thank a round of Patreon supporters because this is, after all, an episode. Our next round of $5 level supporters is Alfred Mamlet, James O'Sullivan, Shane Reagan, Dakota Randall, Jeff Smith, Jose Lopez, Matthew Levine, Zachary Mankini, Jay Harrington, and Tom Kutzer. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for listening. Back in your eardrums soon. Hopefully at a more reasonable time of day. Thanks, y'all.